Okay, testing 1, 2. Heyo. Oh yeah. Oh, it is. But that's not working. I set up these cool little like macros on my keyboard that's supposed to turn the volume down, and then they're working fine all day, and then now they don't work. What's up, Felipe? How are you, man? How are you? Let me know if you can hear me correctly. Because I've got all this stuff set up, and then like to test it, you have to like record a little, you know, you like record a video and then play it back, and I hope it sounds okay. But I haven't streamed it, so I think it should all be the same since I, you know, left it. All perfect. Sweet, brother. Sweet, sweet. Yeah, I just finished doing a vocal session, was working on some new Head Cave stuff, and like I got this new camera set up in the booth that I'm super stoked on, and I was like, yeah, dude, let's try the live stream, because I want to get back to you know, my goal is to like obviously to you know, just make more music more consistently. You know, Nick and I have this whole record that we're working on for Head Cave, and obviously new MTH stuff. But I want to make it easier to like take videos and stuff while I'm doing it, because the way I had it before was like you gotta set up the tripod and get the camera out every time, and it was always just a hassle. So I'm trying to make it, you know, like easier for myself, if that makes sense. But super excited overall, because I also kind of feel like trying new stuff like motivates me to be more consistent, you know. So I feel good about it overall. But I got the camera set up in the booth. It's working pretty good. I haven't watched the video back from today of everything that I just recorded, but I think it all went well. I haven't done like any cable management at all whatsoever, so it's all fucking kind of a mess in there visually, but I want to make sure everything like works well and you know, it is where it's supposed to be before I start fucking, you know, like locking everything in place. But overall, I think it's gonna be pretty sweet. And I was trying to send this to YouTube at the same time as Twitch, and I don't think it worked. So I'm trying to like see on my YouTube channel if it's there, but I don't think it is. But oh well, doesn't matter. We'll just try one thing at a time. So cool. So yeah, man, just super stoked to get back to making tunes. Like I said, me and Nick are working on this full-length record for Head Cave. We probably have like around 10 or 12 songs, I think, that'll be on the full thing. We'll still see exactly which ones are going to make the cut, but I'm feeling pretty good about it, man. I think there's the first one that I tracked. I think that's the one we're leaning on as like what we want to drop as like a first single. But I think this one I'm working on right now has a lot of potential too. So we'll see what he says. Oh, and yeah, check this out, dude. So I have like computers set up here. Vocal booth is set up in the room over there, like, you know, right next door. But I have I like tried to like clean up my like my windows and my setup and stuff. So we got Pro Tools over here. Let me load this up. So hopefully y'all should be able to see. Oh, it's the Pro Tools session with all the vocals I was working on. Yeah, YouTube is off, but it's working well here. All right, cool. I'll sort that out in a minute. I got some new app for OBS that's supposed to like multi-stream the two, and I was like trying to set it up right before I was doing this, and I don't think I did it right, so is what it is. But yeah, man, so we got Pro Tools lined up right here. I'm trying like a new, actually, here, tell me, this will be the true test. If I open this plugin, can you see this? Like, can you see the little SSL EQ? Felipe, you're the only one here, so I'm gonna ask you. Tell me if you can see this little plugin, right? Like, if I was to start turning these knobs and shit. Because getting OBS, the streaming software that I use to capture Pro Tools, was so much work you have no idea. Like, because of the way that Pro Tools works, and this is not interesting to anybody else, but I had to mess with this for like, oh man, like almost 2 whole days. Oh wait, bro, it's not working. Oh my god. Hold on. See, this is why we test stuff. But this is what it's supposed to be. Oh my goodness, 1 second. Unbelievable. Hold on. We're doing it. You're seeing it live. Because this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be. If I switch here. That's all right. See, this is why we test this stuff, because I'm so glad. I swear, I literally just did a whole session recording, and it was all working just fine. And then now, you want to go live and it stops working. But regardless, I know I'll figure out whatever the problem is. I'm like this close to getting it right. Yeah, I know how it is, dude. I'm telling you, man. Like, it's not interesting to anybody else, but the way that like Pro Tools renders plugins, it renders them as like a separate window, separate from the Pro Tools program. So like OBS doesn't see them when you tell it to record Pro Tools. So I had to do this whole workaround. I was learning how to set up macros inside of OBS. I'm like, you know, trying to code this like, you know, plugin to work or whatever. And I swear to God, it does work. I know for a fact that it works, but I can't get it to, I can't fix it without restarting the stream. So we're just going to ignore it for now. What's up, Toby? Thank you for following the channel. Appreciate you, brother. Oh shoot, I should have looked a second ago. I hope the little notification came up that said you were following, because I tried to set those up too. But thank you very much. I don't know if I've seen you in here before, man. It's been like, I don't know, a year or so since the last stream, probably more. So if you're new, welcome. So yeah, my goal with like streaming and stuff is the same as it was before, right? Like, I want to be where, you know, say I'm working on a track, working on vocals, you know, whether it's mixing or whether it's, you know, recording vocals live on stream, or like just doing covers and stuff. Basically just like the process of working on a track, you know, I just think it'd be cool to just be live during that time. I've done it a handful of times, and part of it's a little stressful, especially because I don't have everything, you know, like dialed in on the stream, which Exhibit A, but I think that it's worth it. And it was a lot of fun, and it kind of makes like the, you know, the recording process is like, it can get a little repetitive, you know, it's kind of like going to the gym. Like, you know, sometimes, usually for most days, it's like really nice when you're just by yourself. But then on those days when you work out with like a friend or, you know, a buddy or something, and, you know, the session takes longer, but it's a little bit more fun. So I think that's my goal with these streams, right? Is to just be like, you know, whenever I'm working on a track or working on vocals or whatever, to just kind of like pull back the curtain and share the process, you know. New to the stream, not new to you, got to meet you when you played with I Prevail. Oh dude, so that was recent. The show in what was it, Detroit, right? Michigan, at oh gosh, what is it, was that the Crowfoot, I want to say? But yeah, dude, that was recent. Thank you for being at that show, man. That was super fun. That was our first show in like 7 years, I want to say 6 or 7 years, just about. And it was sweet, man. I'm so glad we played that show, and you know, really, really stoked how it went down. I was like stressing though, because it's so hard to practice for us as a band now, because everybody lives in different states, and you know, we all are, you know, just using our home studios here at home when we're recording. So like, you're not able to have a lot of time to play together as a band. So it was like, we got, you know, one afternoon the night before to practice, and you know, we're having all this gear trouble, all this shit or whatever it was. But it was so sick, man. And I Prevail were so kind to us, and yeah, the show was huge and it was awesome. So thank you for being there, man. It's very cool. Okay, I'm gonna try to pronounce this username. Is it Deck 101 or is it Deck Lol? I can't tell. What's up, Nick? Thanks for Strangers Only as an album. Came out at a time when I needed it. What a sound, never be replicated. Thanks for that. Thank you, man. That's a really big compliment. I appreciate it. I think it's cool to kind of experience recently where it feels like people are really fond of that record, you know? Which, you know, I certainly am too, but it is funny to think back on that time. Like, man, I was 20 years old when we recorded that record. 20 years old. So it would have been, 2013. So it's like, man, that's so long ago. I was a freaking, you know, just a baby. Earl the Cat, what's up, dude? I remember you. What up, man? Big MTH fan. When I learned how to scream, you gave me killer advice a few years ago. That's fucking awesome. I hope that it was good advice, because I wouldn't consider myself like a great teacher when it comes to vocals. I kind of, you know, just go based on feel. So hopefully whatever my advice was, I hope it worked out, man. Deck Lol. Okay, cool. Not 101. What do you think of the sound Static Dress have been putting out? Dude, I'm a huge fan of Static Dress. I think they're fucking so sick. I went to see them in a couple months ago. They played in LA with Orthodox and Dying Wish and another band that I can't remember the name of. I hadn't heard of them before the show. I think they're a female singer. They were like heavy, but they weren't like any type of like breakdown or hardcore band. They were way more like kind of like heavy shoegazy, just really interesting. But got to see Static Dress at that show, and it was fucking sick, dude. I was like, I wasn't moshing, but I was like right next to the pit. That's like my favorite place to be at a show, is like in the thick part of the crowd, close to the front. And yeah, they were really, really good. So big fan of them. Great question. Let's see. Felipe said, my band is in another city, so the time we have for rehearsals before a show, and it's scary. Yeah, man, same exact thing, dude. Like, we had, you know, just the night before to go over the set. And I did something for myself that I actually think was really, really helpful. And I think next time we do a show, I'm going to do this in the future, where I built out like a Pro Tools session that was like one session front to back that had, you know, everything from the intro all the way through to the last song, and like roughly, you know, gaps and stuff in between, however long the set is. You know, you got a 45-minute set, like make a 45-minute session. And I split all the tracks out into stems. So like, you know, say Marshall wants to drum along, he could mute the drums and just play to a click in the guitars. Or, you know, say Derek wants to play whatever, he can mute the guitars. So anyways, like building a multi-track Pro Tools session that just has all the stems in there, and then people can practice to that. I'm going to try that for our next show, because I did that for myself. I just had instrumentals and I was singing over them. And it was really great to just be able to like hit play and like just run the show top to bottom, because you don't have to like, you know, stop and start and you get distracted or whatever. So something to try if you know, you guys aren't able to rehearse together in the same spot. Dex said, you guys had incredible producer too, so I could praise it more. We absolutely did. So we worked with, obviously, Will Putney, you know, did that record, but I got to give a major shout out to Randy LaBeouf, who was, you know, kind of like our day to day when we were doing that record. So we did, what's up, Mr. Joyner? How are you? Dude, Static Dress and Loathe. So I'll be honest, man, Loathe is a band I have listened to very, very little. I know how highly everyone speaks of them in the scene, so I know it's, you know, I'm late to the party, but what record, you know, should I start with? Because I feel like they've changed their sound with a couple of different ones. I mean, everything I've heard I thought was good. I just, for whatever reason, like never, you know, like never dove in and listened to them on my own. But anyways, on that Strangers Only record, Randy was definitely like the person who we worked with the most, because there was another band in the studio at the same time as us, and Will was kind of focused on working with them. So we spent probably like two days at the beginning with Will. We played through all the songs, you know, just kind of like did like rough recordings top to bottom. And then he kind of gave us some structural advice, produced a couple things, you know, move this, you know, change that riff, this type of thing. But dude, pretty much like 90% of the record was us working with Randy. But then obviously Will mixed it, you know, so it's definitely a joint record between the two of them. But I definitely agree. Lots of love for those guys. Felipe said, nice, I'll try that with the guys. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, man. I think, you know, for not being able to practice or rehearse together, something I think is super helpful, because then you can just kind of like, and I think it helps you visualize the set too. You know what I mean? You can just like run it top to bottom. Lightgeist, what's up, man? I haven't seen you for, I remember you, and it's good to see you again. Obviously I haven't been, you know, streaming in a long time, but glad you made it in, dude. Mr. Joyner said their last 3 records are all bangers. All right, sick. I'll just scope it out, man. Sometimes like whenever I'm checking out a new band, like I'll just go on Spotify and just like let the shuffle, you know, do its thing. Dude, I've been very good. It's been weird like this past like year or so, man. I feel like I've been constantly in like a push and pull between like wanting to focus on music, wanting to work on, you know, like these creative things that I get you know, that I love to do, right? Been torn between that and then like my work as a director and as a videographer, which is, you know, how I pay my bills and everything. And it's been like going really good, which is like, it's all great problems to have, but it's like, I can feel myself like, even when I'm making progress in that and, you know, getting these bigger jobs or, you know, making stuff that I'm proud of or working on good shoots, you know, I always have this thought of like, oh man, I should be singing more. I should be screaming more. I should be, you know, writing these songs or whatever it is. And every time I go to a show or like any type of thing related to music or like related to the scene, anytime I'm like around it again, I get like that fucking buzz, and I'm like, dude, I gotta work on stuff. You know what I mean? So like, obviously, you know, Warped Tour just came through a couple weeks ago, and me and my friends went to that, and it was like, I was like, man, I fucking, you know, I miss this world so much. So I've been trying to do like a better job of like going out to shows, you know, as a fan. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's so much good music happening right now that like, I want to be in the mix again. You know what I mean? So that's part of, you know, why I've been so stoked about like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, get my camera stuff set up again, and, you know, get back to streaming and stuff, is because it's like I need that motivation, you know. Let's see. Like I says, when you're playing a show in Colorado, man, I don't know. For MTH, it's tough, dude. We're gonna be like, if we can do a couple shows a year, I'll be super stoked. And it's just hard because, like, you know, the guys all have, you know, people got real jobs and they got wives and kids, and, you know, I'm the luckiest one in the sense of, well, depending on how you look at it. But I'm the person who's like the most flexible with like my time. But like we've had like good show offers, you know, cool tour offers since we did our last record that, you know, normally we would have absolutely taken, but like, you know, we're not in a position to just, you know, go on, take 4 weeks off work or whatever it is. You know, you can't do that when you have, you know, families and you know, all this grown up shit to worry about. So unfortunately, it'll probably be that we'll only be able to play a handful of shows each year, but I think it'll be really cool because we'll be able to kind of like, you know, make them special and, you know, invest into them a little bit. So hopefully something in or around Colorado, but I don't know for sure, man. Mr. Joyner said, I think Ollie from Static Dress said he was a fan of MTH when he was on Craig's podcast, The Downbeat. I remember that because I was just watching that episode because I'm a fucking fan of Craig and of his podcast and of Static Dress. And dude, I was like geeking out, man. I wish somebody had been filming my reaction at the time because I was like, you just, you know, you hear your band mentioned and you're like, what did he fucking say? You know what I mean? And I was smiling ear to ear. So massive shout out because you know, they're both super fucking cool. So I do remember them saying that. It was awesome. Declo said, anybody in chat or Nick that can recommend any newish underground bands leaning towards a style of Static Dress. I've been a lifelong fan of Aaron Gillespie and Underoath. I will have to think about that. I know there definitely are some. But funny enough, I actually have a list. Oh, I can't find it right now. I have a list saved somewhere of like just some like new bands that I found recently. Like, dude, the YouTube algorithm has been the place where I find, like, I don't know where you guys find the most music, but for me, the YouTube algorithm has just been like feeding me some really fucking good stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like kind of the stuff that's just kind of like my taste is come back around a little bit. It's kind of more in vogue. So there's just like a lot of these bands where they look younger too, right? Like, you know, people in their early 20s, late teens, this type of thing, that are like having these, you know, early 2000s and 90s kind of like influences and like just like these extra little things that they're mixing in. And I feel like heavy music is just really interesting and feels fresh right now, which is you know, partially getting me really inspired and kind of like all happening at the perfect time with, you know, MTH making a record again and me working on this Head Cave stuff. So I know they're out there. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But I want to make a post about it because there've been like 4 or 5 bands where I've been like, you know, it'll be some YouTube recommendation or whatever, and I'll watch the whole music video and then I'll go to their channel and I'll watch like 2 more because I'm like, yo, this band fucking gets it, dude. This is sick. So yeah, I'll think of some and hopefully, you know, I can I'll make a post about it or something because I want to shout people out like that. Let's see. I think about it all the time. Like I said, awesome. Okay, cool. You deserve to be on the stage. Love the new My Ticket album you guys put out, dude. A huge compliment, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, we've never played Warped Tour, unfortunately. I don't know if we'll be able to now, but actually, having said that, the fact that it's not a full-on tour and that it's just like these, you know, one day sort of, you know, little mini festivals is kind of helping our chances because we can work around one day. You know what I mean? So if we ever got the offer, I would fucking totally do it. Earl Cat says, bro, I feel that on the job and the family thing. Being on the road, I was a drum tech for a band in Ohio and ended up screaming for red jumpsuit apparatus. It was so sick, but I miss the fam and stuff too. Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, like, dude, I'm 34 and, you know, all the other guys are like roughly right around my same age. So, you know, wives, kids, jobs, makes it a lot harder. You know, you kind of, like think back to when we're just able to not have a care, and all you had to worry about was touring and playing the show and smoking weed. Those are the three things that were on our plate at the time. So I think it's cool though, because it's like, it's kind of given me more of an appreciation and realizing that like dude, being able to make music is a luxury. You know what I mean? Being able to have any sort of free time to invest in something purely just because it's what you want to do is you know, just something that like it is something that you should be grateful for. And so I think it's trying to like, I'm trying to keep myself you know, in that state of mind, if that makes sense. Dead Boy, it was great to meet you at Pomona, my man. Sabian, dude, what's up, brother? What is that Sabian from Alpha Wolf? If it is, hello. Yeah, so like I said, I've been trying to go to shows, and you know, obviously we had Warped Tour a couple weeks ago, and then before that, Nick and I went to Glass House to see Alpha Wolf, and it was fucking sick, and they were super cool. And that was really like a kind of like a collision of worlds and stuff, because obviously Alpha Wolf have been working super closely with Talon Electric, and Talon Electric was started by my good friends from back home in Ohio, Sean and Luke, and Sean was an original member of My Ticket Home, if anyone doesn't know that. So it was like just a super good hang of like you know, meeting somebody new, but somebody who's like friends of friends, and you know, obviously knows like one of my close friends really well. And yeah, man, just the whole atmosphere, like just being around a tour again, being around a great show, you know what I mean? It was like this fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like it's infectious, dude. And obviously all the bands are really good, so that you know, just kind of even, it was just fun experience as a fan. But yeah, every time I go to a show, man, I'm always like wanting to get back to it. So but all good things to look forward to, because you know, Nick and I have you know, serious plans for Head Cave as well, and I think there's way more you know, availability there from him and I to be playing shows and you know, doing some tours and stuff. So all exciting things. But you know, first things first is I got to get my ass in the booth and, you know, be recording these songs. So that's the name of the game at the moment, is just try to like get consistent and get these tracks done. Like I said, I always snowboard to strangers only. Dude, speaking of stuff I haven't done in a long time, I have not been snowboarding in like, oh man, like 10 years probably. I'm probably terrible now. I was never that good to begin with, but I was like, you know, I can hit the terrain park a little bit, you know what I mean? Like I can do a couple, you know, do a couple airs, do a couple grinds, is, you know, it was all fine. But I would love to go again, man. My buddy and his fiance just went recently, and they were telling me about it. They went to, I want to say Mammoth, and that's the other thing too. I was snowboarding in the Midwest, right? Like obviously, you know, no shade to where I'm from, but it doesn't really compare to the stuff you have out here on, you know, the West Side. So I feel like if I was to go get back to it, the mountain would seem fucking huge because it's way bigger, and also I'm gonna be like completely, you know, borderline starting from scratch again. So I think it would be intense but fun. So if I ever do, hopefully I fucking don't break anything. Let's hit Keystone, dude. So where's that at? I live in Long Beach, and I know there are some good places to go that are pretty close to here, but I don't know where Keystone is. All right, let me go back, make sure I didn't miss stuff. Mr. Joyner said, I just saw Under a few weeks ago, 150 cap venue with no barricade. Fuck yeah. Is that okay? I seen live videos going around from that show. I haven't watched them yet, but I've seen them like recommended on my YouTube and stuff, so I'm definitely gonna watch those. It was probably fucking sick. I'm jealous of you. I saw them a couple weeks ago at Warped Tour here in Long Beach. It was fucking great. They were one of the best sets of the day, I want to say. Like I feel like I've seen them once before. I saw them once in Europe, 2 years ago when I was on tour with Night Versus. They were playing a festival that Night Versus also played, so I went to see them then. But they didn't have Chris, their keyboard player. He wasn't with them for whatever reason. I don't know if he just traveling conflict or I think something. So they were playing without him, and it was still really good. But I feel like they felt noticeably like tighter at Warped Tour a couple weeks ago. Like really, really fucking strong vocal performances. I think them and Ginger and Story of the Year were the three, like, some of the best vocal performances I heard all day. So yeah, Under Oath was really, really good watching them. And dude, I felt so cool. So I was like taking little videos of all the bands that I watch, right? And I'll like put them on my story. And Under Oath fucking reposted the one that I took, and I was like, that's fucking cool, dude. Because I was like, I'll get like, my favorite place to watch a show is like right next to the pit. Like you're like in the crowd, like in the dense part of the crowd. You get a little push motion, you know what I mean? You can sing along and you feel like you're not, bothering the person next to you, but you're not like, fully fucking, like you can have a drink in your hand and you're not going to die. And they were really good. So they also said that they're doing a California show soon, and they're doing the anniversary for Define the Great Line, which was like the record that got me into them. So I gotta fucking get tickets to that show, because that would be like, dude, so fucking cool to see. I watched, if you remember that live DVD they had from the Electric Factory, I watched that DVD so many times, dude. And like, yeah, they were a big band for me growing up, like in the high school days. So I would love to see that shit live. It would be so cool. So yeah, I'm jealous of you at that small venue. I'm sure it was fucking awesome. Was it like, what was the set? Was it, it was probably what they're doing right now. Like, there's some old, some new, kind of like a mix of everything. I'm curious what they played. All right, let me go back. Let's see. Going to shows is where I find a lot of new bands or bands that are new to me. Like when I saw you guys at I Prevail. Yeah, man, for sure. I've seen, I'm trying to think of the last band. When I saw Mugshot at the Alpha Wolf show, I was like, I had heard of them and I had listened to them, but seeing it live was a whole fucking different thing, dude. They were really, really fucking good live, and it was like, there's something to that, like that type of heavy music where there's like, I don't know, they just do such a good job of making like the tempo changes and the riffs are like so well balanced between being like really, really heavy and then also catchy. So yeah, great drumming, great riffs, great vocal. Like the whole set was really, really good. The drums I think stood out to me the most. Just something about the way the sound was in the venue, like, and their drummer was just really fucking good. But yeah, so like perfect example of like, I had heard of that band, but you know how sometimes like, dude, some bands are better live than the record, you know what I mean? Or like something in the record doesn't come across that does come across live. So when I saw them at the Alpha Wolf show, I was like, dude, fucking put this on the playlist. Yeah, they were really, really good. So I feel that, man. Like, I'm just trying to like, to say yes to more stuff. You know what I mean? Bands coming through that are like, oh, dude, yeah, I'll go to the show. Because you never regret it. Once you're there. Felipe, thank you for saying that Unreal is good. Appreciate it. I think, dude, the 10-year anniversary of that is coming up, if you can believe that. 2017, dude, to 2027. It's fucking nuts. I want to do a vinyl, re-release, or not re-release, like do a vinyl pressing of it, because it was never on a vinyl, and throw like some bonus tracks on it. And yeah, I think that'd be really cool. And a 10-year anniversary is like the perfect excuse. So fingers crossed, hopefully I can make that happen. I need to hit up the the guys from the label, but I think that would be really cool. Keystone is in Colorado, about 30 minutes from Breckenridge. I still need to snowboard Lake Tahoe. Okay, sick, man. So you got some. That's like good shit. Like I said, man, I'm coming from the Midwest, so everything that I'm used to is like it's not a mountain. They're like little hills compared to this, you know. So I'll get back to it at some point. I know that whenever, you know, I don't have anybody to fucking go with, man. Maybe I just need to go by myself. I don't know. Let's see. Toby said they're more of a metalcore band, but I've seen Dark Divine at a Black Veil Bride show, and they're freaking amazing. I've seen them 5 times now. All right. So here we go. Adding to the list. Dark Divine. Any specific record or just like whatever their newest shit is? You tell me. Man, if you release bonus tracks from Real, I'll fucking cry. Same for Strangers Only. So I have, I don't know if I would call them bonus tracks, but I think there's like a remix that I did. We did like a chill trip hop remix of one of the songs. I think it was Hyperreal. We have a bunch of demos from that time, like kind of alternate versions. I don't know if they would be proper like B-sides. It would kind of be, well, I guess that's a B-side. It's like just something unreleased. There are a couple of versions of, actually, now that I say this, so the like the way that record happened was we were on a record deal with our first label, Rise Records, and then we got out of that record deal and we were gonna do a self-released record, but we had Spine Farm, who was the label we ended up going with, you know, reach out, and they were interested, and so they were like, oh, we want to do like a 3-song demo. So like they put us up with this producer, Johnny K, who was like a pretty big producer, and, you know, has worked with like these big, you know, like radio rock bands like Stained and Disturbed, and, you know, shit that I'm a fan of. So I was stoked. And so we did 3 songs with him, and those songs then kind of like morphed and then became the versions that they are on Unreal when we worked with Fred, the producer who did the record, and then we signed with Spine Farm, obviously. And those, you know, versions became like the final versions of the songs. But there are like these first versions that are like totally like us kind of like, we were in this weird phase where we were like, it wasn't that like we didn't want to be heavy, but we were like, I don't know if we were just like, I don't know what it was, but for some reason we were kind of like turned off by heavy stuff, and so we were trying to like, you know, write these like very like catchy singing dominant songs. So when we were doing these first 3 like early versions of these tracks, I listen back to them now, and I actually think they're fucking cool. I think they hold up. They're just different versions of the songs, but they're way more like, you know, kind of like that early 2000s radio rock, you know, type vibe. So if they let us release those, that'd be fucking perfect, because there's 3 of them, and it's like a total rework. You know, you can hear like these early versions of the songs. I think it's Melancholia, Flee the Flesh, and Visual Snow are like those are the songs that ended up on the record, but these early versions don't really sound anything like that. I mean, I don't know. If they ever come out, you'll tell me and see what they say. All right, I probably missed some stuff. Let's go back. Earl the Cat, dude, thank you for the saying you like the Army of Me cover. That was, dude, so that was recorded like fucking forever ago, and we were like, bro, let's just put this out. Because I've had it sitting on my hard drive like forever. I think we recorded that Army of Me thing in maybe like 2018, I want to say. Maybe earlier, dude. Maybe like 2016. That's a good, I don't really remember when it was. But You know, I've got all this music from like these early, you know, like times when we were recording ourselves, and I was like, man, it'd be such a shame if all that just like sat on the hard drive. So we're working on getting the rest of it out. But I'm glad you liked it, man. It was cool to hear back, you know, because it was like, you know, you do something and then you don't listen to it for 6 years, and then you hear it back and you're like, oh no, it's still pretty cool. Let's you know, let's send it. All right, let's see what else. Have I ever listened to the album Bleed the Sky by, is it Revile? How are you? Revile? How do you pronounce that? But no, I have not. So dude, adding it to the list. Bleed the Sky. Bleed the Sky. Sweet. Felipe asked, why did it take so long between Strangers Only and Unreal? Always been curious to that. So, kind of perfect segue on the same sort of topic is, basically because we left our first label, and then we kept writing, and we had a record that we were like, all right, this is pretty close to, you know, finished, and we thought we were just going to release it ourselves. And then we had this opportunity with a label, and so we were like, oh, maybe we should try that. And, you know, then that kind of took a while because they were like, all right, we were interested, but we want to hear you guys work with, you know, like a bigger producer. So we're going to send you in and you're going to do a few songs with the bigger producer. And then that was like, went well. And then, you know, then we're like, all right, we are going to sign. And, you know, so it kind of just took a while between that. And like the way we are as a band is like, we are like, we only ever like whatever we're doing right now. And if it's like, you know, we'll write a song and, you know, be super into it, and then you get like a few months, and then after those couple months go by, you might like the band might be over it. So, you know, by that point that we got this whole record deal sorted, we were like, man, fuck those old songs, we're just gonna write new stuff. So then it just kind of, you know, started from there. But we have we were writing all throughout that whole time. So I think it's kind of a shame, because if you just look at Strangers Only and Unreal, there's like, obviously there's a big gap of time between the two, but there's also, I think, like a big stylistic, you know, jump. And I think if you were to hear the stuff that we were writing between that time, it kind of has like a little bit more of a gradual, you know, evolution, and makes a bit more sense. So speaking of, you know, there's a good amount of music that, you know, we recorded from back in the day that, you know, me and the guys are talking about releasing. And there's the demos from 2014 are like the perfect next candidate for that. So we're writing new stuff right now. But I think we're going to kind of focus on those 2014 songs and see if we can't release those kind of like quickly, because writing songs for us kind of like takes a while, because, you know, we're very like if all four of us don't like it, it's not getting through. So it kind of takes a while of like making everybody happy, versus, you know, if I just mix these, you know, these demos from back in the day, it can kind of just, you know, they're ready to go. So hopefully we can get those out, and then it'll be kind of a cool thing, because it'll be like, oh, you know, unreleased songs from 2014 or whatever, you know, this stuff that people haven't heard. So there's one that's out, I think, For All the Flies is like from that era. So yeah, I want to take those demos and mix them up. Just give them a little bit of icing on the cake. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna change them too much. I want them to be true to what they were. But just clean them up a little bit, you know what I mean? And then we'll get them out there. So, so yes, that's why it took a long time between the two. Toby said their new album is deadly fun, is really good. Oh wait, I lied. It's called Undead Melody. Their first album is deadly fun. Okay, cool. I'm writing both those down. Mm-hmm. Sweet. Earl the Cat. Yeah, so For All the Flies is from that 2014 sort of era. And like those were all that was like the beginning of like my journey of like learning how to record and like, you know, like self-produce and, you know, trying to learn how to mix and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, we had all those demos, and there was like, this was around the time the Unreal album was coming out, and there was this radio contest. We were trying to get a song from Unreal to be played on like, I think it was like Octane or, you know, whatever the modern metalcore sort of channel is for, I think it was, you know, XM. And so we're trying to get this song on Octane, and they had like this Twitter contest where it was like, whichever song gets the most votes or whatever it is, you know, will get to be on next week's, you know, can stay on the spot. And so we're playing this show. I think it was the album release show for Unreal. So we're playing this hometown show, and, you know, the show was good, so there's a lot of people there. And so I remember we were like going around to everybody of like, yo, we need you to vote for us so we can, you know, get this song on the radio or whatever it was. And we were like, it was us and I can't remember the other band, but it was like we go up, they go up, we go up, they go up, and we're like going at it, you know, the two of us, you know, trying to get all these people to vote. And we were like, dude, we gotta win. So we posted something of like, all right, if we win this, you know, Twitter thing or whatever, we'll release like an old demo. And For All the Flies was like the one that we had kind of like the most finished. So that's the only reason that song is even out at this point, is because we wanted to win this little, you know, radio contest. If that hadn't happened, I'm sure that one would just be, you know, sitting on the hard drive as well. So there's probably, I think there's almost like a whole album's worth from 2014 that, you know, that I still have on like one of my hard drives back there. So gonna clean it up, gonna post it. That's the plan. What's up, Ray Rock 1995? Been listening to Flooded Eyes back to back. Dude, let's go. Thank you very much, my friend. Really appreciate it. I think that's probably it might be my favorite track from the new record. I think Nothing Lost is my true favorite, but Flooded Eyes is a close second. Thank you so much, man. It's been really cool doing that record. You know, was like such a good, like, kind of formative, freeing, you know, experience for us. I think of like, we can do it ourselves. We can actually do it. We can release it. You know, it's an option, you know, and it can be cool. So, yeah, really glad that, we did this past record. So we've already started writing the next stuff. You know, for us, it kind of like, it goes in phases where some of us will get busy and, you know, not write for a while. I've been the main offender for that for like the past few months. And then somebody will get really inspired. Like, dude, Derek will go on, like a streak and just write like, you know, 30 songs. And, I mean, they're demos, they're first passes, but they're like, you can always tell if like, you know, the core of the idea is there and it's good. So there's probably like 30 tracks or so that are all like a combination of new stuff that we've written since the, you know, post Pure to a Fault, the last record, and then a handful of tracks that were, you know, written at the same time that we just didn't use, but we're gonna, you know, work on them as well. So tons of new stuff, like new song wise. But I think the thing we've been talking about the most recently is like, dude, let's just polish up some of these old demos and kind of, you know, float those out, because I think I can get those done pretty quickly. And, you know, we're all kind of thinking like, you know, don't fuss around with the release too much. Like, you don't have to worry about making, you know, content and all this crap. Like, just, you know, let's get a good mix, you know, get some artwork, some song names, all this type of stuff, and just let the people have it. So that's the plan for that stuff. So hopefully that'll be, I think we can do it this year, which would be fucking awesome. Earl says, For All the Flies mentioned, hell yeah, that's my favorite MTH track. Well, dude, if these old tracks come out, hopefully there will just be, you know, more of that same era, and, you know, hopefully you like the rest of it too, man. Toby said excited for new music. Yeah, same here, dude. I'm extremely stoked. Felipe said glad the song is out. There's probably some gems in the hard drive, man. Let them live, dude. That's kind of my philosophy. Is it's like, you know, especially lately where, I mean, before Pure to a Fault, we were like fully on a hiatus, essentially, like totally out of the game, you know, not posting, not releasing anything. Obviously I had Head Cave and was working on that, but MTH was like just completely, we always knew we were going to come back to it at some point, but, you know, it was just everybody kind of, I think everyone had their own individual like journey that we all had to, you know, go on and kind of grow up a little bit. And then to be able to come back to it just because you love it has been really, really cool. So when I think about those times, I agree with you 1,000% of like, man, in the spirit of that, it would be an absolute shame to let some of these older songs that are good, or at least, you know, like interesting for their time, and for, you know, it's like a little time capsule of like who you were at that point. You know what I mean? Because especially to think like, you know, growing up, and then, you know, when you're writing or releasing, you know, music, like as you grow up, obviously, I mean, like that's it shows like where your head's at, where you're coming from, how you see the world, how you see yourself, you know, all this different sort of stuff. Because it's like, you know, the music's a blank page. You can bring anything you want to it. So, you know, when I listen back to our older stuff, I hear, you know, like I hear who I was when I was younger, and sometimes, you know, sometimes it's cringy, and you're like, that's not working. You know what I mean? But I get where my head was at, and so, you know, but then oftentimes there is good stuff in it too, and be like, oh yeah, I was, you know, I had something cool on this one that sounded good. So that's kind of you know, where my head is at, and I think all the guys agree, where we're like, dude, let's release these older songs. Like it won't take that long. I mean, obviously I gotta mix it, but, you know, we don't have to, you know, we can keep you know, like putting these new songs in the oven, and then, you know, release that while we're still writing new stuff. So that's the plan, man. Like I said, Tear Joint got me through some shit this year. Fell in love with a stripper, and it did not end well. I apologize for that, my friend. But I'm glad the music was there. Dude, you just reminded me of a hilarious story, by the way. Ray Rock says One for the Garden got me going in the gym. Dude, fuck yeah. I think that's I think, dude, you're calling out all my favorites. It's hard to, I haven't listened to the record in a while, but I filmed like half a music video for that song, and then we just never finished it. But I still think it would be sick to finish that music video. But anyways, like, guys, you just reminded me, dude, there was this one time where we were on tour. MTH was on a tour. I forget who or, you know, what bands we were with or where we were, but you know, we met this girl at the show, and she was a dancer, and she was like, oh, you know, I'm a big fan of the band or whatever. You guys should come to you know, the club after the show. It'll be fun, and, you know, whatever. Well, you guys can come after the show's done. So, and she was telling us how, like, she was like, oh, I danced to like hard, like rock and metal, and it's like I put it in the show. And so we're like, all right, that sounds cool. So we go, and by the time we get to the club, it's like, you know, 1 a.m., which isn't that late, you know, for a strip club, I feel like. But dude, so we go in, and there's like nobody there. The club's like closing, basically, which, whatever. And so it's basically like just us, you know, just the band, and, you know, some of the staff and shit. And she was like, oh, I want to show you guys, like, I'll dance, like, she's like, one of your songs is like one of my favorites. And so it's literally us sat in the fucking, you know, like front, right by the stage, and it's just us. And then she dances to one of our songs and shit. And dude, like the bartenders are like cleaning up and, like, you know, counting out the register and shit. And I'll never forget, it was so funny. It was like, song finishes, and we're all just sitting there, and then the DJ's like, all right, nice one, guys. And I forget what else he said, and it was like, dude, it was just so fucking, like, I felt very. She was really nice and she was super cool, but I felt so lame. I was like, what? How did we get here, dude? The stories. Or the situations that you get into from being in a band are fucking hilarious, and that's not one I ever expected. But she was really nice, and it was fun. But it was not what you expect when you're like, oh yeah, come to the club after the show. Oh, Earl the Cat. Oh, dude. Okay, I apologize that about the ads. That's something. Like I said, dude, I haven't streamed on Twitch in a while, so I forgot that it does ads. So if that happens, that's my bad. I'm supposed to know when that's going to happen. So my fault. If you missed the story, basically there was a girl who was a stripper, and she invited us to go to the club after the show. And she was like, "Oh, I like to dance to metal, and one of your songs is one of my favorite ones to dance to, and I want you guys to see it." So we got there, and the club was basically closing, and it was just basically us and her and the staff. And then she danced to our song, and the DJ was like, all right, nice one, guys. And then we left. And it was like, it was not cool. So that's what you missed if you missed the ads. But hey, it was, you got a funny story out of it, I guess. But yeah, Lightgeist, I feel for you, my friend. So hopefully the record helped. That makes me feel better. What song was it? I think it was Flypaper, but don't quote me on that. It was something from Unreal. I do know that. So at least there was like, there was some melody to it. It made a little bit of sense. It wasn't just like fucking breakdowns and stuff. But you know what? These days, I feel like that wouldn't be uncommon either. The ads are still going. Dude, what is happening? Okay, hold on. I think I have... Oh, I'm supposed to have a little window that tells me when the ads happen, but like I said, you're getting the full experience, all the mistakes. But yeah, it was during Unreal. It was probably 2017, 2018, something like that. But dude, so funny enough, around that same time, we kept writing right after Unreal finished. So we have also pretty much like a full record's worth of material from like the 2018 sort of era as well. So that's kind of like another like batch of songs, like these unreleased B-sides that I want to polish up and get released. So I think we'll probably do the 2014 ones first. That's what we've been talking about the most. But the 2018 era sort of demos and stuff as well, I think there's some good songs to release too. So kind of the same sort of deal. Like, guys, you missed the entire story. I'm so sorry, brother. You're the person I was telling it for. Basically, there was... I'm sorry, everyone, if you heard this 3 times. There was a girl who was a dancer, and we met her at a show, and she told us how one of our songs was like one of her favorites to dance to. She dances to rock and metal. She invites us to go to the club after the show. We go to the club, we get there, the club is basically closing. There's like nobody left. It's just us and her and the staff. And she dances to the song, and the DJ's like, all right, that was cool. Great job, guys. And it was super fucking dead and odd. And wasn't something I expected to see, but that's what happened. So anyways, that was just something that you reminded me of by talking about your ex. So well, regardless, glad the glad the record came out at a relevant time for you, my friend. But yeah, it was funny. What was the song? Hand of Blood, dude. Good to see you. I think the song was Flypaper. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. I'd have to ask one of the guys in the band. But yeah, it was something from the Unreal, era of the album cycle. And so it was like, it kind of made a little bit of sense, right? Like there was a little bit of like, all right, there's catchy drum beat and you can dance to this and this sort of makes sense. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Well, I'd say, guys, it's 5:30. I said I'm probably going to stream for an hour. If anybody has any other questions at the moment, let me know. Otherwise, I'm probably going to hop off and make some dinner. But, like I said, this was the main reason I just wanted to test the stream, make sure my setup sort of still works, make sure, I got like this little chat window so I can read stuff. But yeah, man, my goal is, if you've been seeing on like my Instagram and stuff, I've got this new setup in the vocal booth. I've got like my camera rig in there. I've got like a little streaming rig in there. So my goal is to be able to, stream from the booth while I'm recording. We did that a couple of times last year, like when I was streaming before, but it was always a headache for me because I just didn't have my shit together, and I always had to like set up an extra camera and worry about like the batteries dying, and it wasn't very smooth. So my goal is to like have like a super clean setup where it can just be like, it's a lot of work, but you set it up once, you can set it, you can forget it, and then we can do this more often. So yeah, man, this is the goal. Like, guys, if I can catch a show, definitely try. Want to fly out of one of the shows, but had a scheduling conflict. Dude, we're definitely going to do some more. Like, the MTH shows are going to be rare, but, we're going to, definitely do more when we can. I think it'll kind of usually be structured around, whenever we're releasing new music, trying to kind of like, do like two birds, one stone, like make it more of an event, kind of like a special thing. But I think that'll just make it cooler because it'll be like, something that we really get to look forward to, and a chance where, we get to meet everybody and just kind of like, I don't know, it's something about, and I've said this before, something about stepping away from the music scene and then coming back to it makes you like appreciate, the connection that you kind of like, not that you took for granted, but just, was, felt very, just kind of like the status quo. Whereas now it feels like, oh, this is really like, this feels like a privilege. It feels special. Yeah, Earl, dude, that's, it might be one of my favorite songs from the record. It's a tough one to say. Any new things coming up on the horizon? MTH or Head Cave coming up? Yes to both. Funny enough, so right before I did this stream, I was doing a vocal session working on a new Head Cave song. I have, I think, 3 songs to go, and then we should be pretty much done with the record. We're working on mixes, trying to make them sound a little bit better. I think with the Head Cave stuff, I think Nick and I both agreed that like the mixing is something that we really want to try to step up for this release. But gonna do a full length for that, gonna do some music videos, some content and stuff around it. And then the ultimate goal there, man, is to play a show. Like play a fucking 6 CD release show would be really, really, really fucking cool. Or even a tour, dude. Like Nick is more open to touring with that band than I thought. And, I think there really is potential for it. So, that's just kind of like my goal with what I'm doing right now for like the next couple months is like, I've been putting work to the side a little bit. I've been like saying no to some good jobs and some good opportunities and being like, all right, I'm going to fucking take away all the excuses and, use this time to make some fucking music. So that's my goal, man. So once we get that record done and get some of these new MTH songs out, hopefully, all these kind of good things will just continue to snowball. So that's the goal, man. Earl, great to chat with you too, man. I'm about to jump as well. Hope you have an awesome night too, my friend, and hopefully we'll see you in some future streams. Come back soon. Looking forward to more streams and mix the old songs. Yeah, dude, that is the plan. That is the absolute plan. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I think on that note, I'm gonna make some dinner, and yeah, I think probably we'll do. Maybe we'll do some streams while I'm working on some mixes, or like I said, once I get the booth, fucking rocking and rolling, I think we can do stream whenever I'm recording, which I'm really fucking looking forward to. So yeah, thank you all so much, everyone, for being here. And yeah, take it easy. And I'll see you guys on the next time I stream. So, all right. Hopefully, if I click this, oh, it works. All right, everyone. I love you. Have a great night. I'll see you next time.